Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today on One Day to Love. I'm Tonja Walker. I am having a special little show today to reprise the last wonderful interview that I had with Jess Walton. I had so many questions from people at home for her that I wanted to have a little follow-up interview. And some of the questions were from me too, especially from the people that watched the two of us together on Capitol. Capitol was on in the beginning of the 80s, but it was the number one primetime show in Italy for a long time. So we have some European friends that would like to ask a few questions, and I'm excited about being able to reach out to them as well. So please stay right where you are. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below and come right back. I'll be back with Jess Walton on One Day to Love. And I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you. I'm really glad to be here.
I am so happy you're here again. So you just finished up a nice long stint or a short stint, but lots of work on Young and the
4
Restless.
shows. 4 shows. Yep.
Okay. When are they gonna be on? Yes.
A month and a half. It's usually a month and a half. I really
6
don't
weeks?
know, but
6
it's big happening, so
Is
be
there
sure.
anything you can tell us, or is it all top secret? Is there anything you can tease?
Not really. It's pretty top secret. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow,
it
that's
is.
so funny. Yeah, Kimberlyn Brown was my roommate in my apartment that I had in LA last year. And, because she got this job on she got brought back and she said, "You have an apartment, right?" And I said, "Yeah, my daughter doesn't wanna live there, so you want to?" So she did.
In
And
L in LA?
yeah,
You
yeah.
still have it?
No, I had to give that up.
Oh.
I went ahead and let Bella move into another apartment with another roommate, and I could stay there when I need to or stay at my sister's when I need to, you know?
Well,
And
Tracy Bregman has an Airbnb that I stayed in this last time, and it was right near the studio, and it was wonderful.
nice, that's really nice. That's a great thing.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I remember she would be running her lines and, ABC wasn't very, um, secret about anything really. We never, we didn't go out and broadcast stuff, you know, but it wasn't under, you know, like a like a covert kind of
Right,
undercover thing.
right.
So, I said, "Well, why don't you let me run lines with you?" And she's like, "No, it's okay, I got it." And I'm like, "Well, you don't have to do it by yourself. I always really learn it better if I'm running it with someone else." And she's like, "No, that's okay. I got it." And I was like, "That's so strange." So finally I said, "Why won't you let me run lines with you?" She goes, "Because I'm not supposed to share this with anybody."
It's Bold and Beautiful you're
No,
talking about.
yeah, and I said, "Well, I'm not really,
Anybody.
interested." No, I don't really care.
Right.
I'm not anybody, and I don't really care, but okay, you know, but that was so different than it was for me. You know, I'd run lines with anybody that would run lines with me because I was dying to have somebody run lines with me. That's how I like to learn
Oh,
things,
I
you
understand,
know?
but you have to trust them because our show really likes to keep stuff secret,
Yeah, yeah,
so
it
because it's a
seems to
month and a
work.
half ahead, yeah.
Seems to work. So you had a good time?
I had a great time, I had a
Yeah.
really good time. Yeah, I had a little time with my relatives
Oh,
and a couple of friends,
nice.
and then the whole week of work.
Yeah, well, that's a gift and a half, right? Isn't that great?
It's really great.
Yeah, it's really great. So what happened was we had 1,000 views of your show like that, which is huge actually. And a lot of people had questions.
Okay. Do you have them
So
written down?
yeah, so I got them. So
Okay.
I would ask you some of those questions that they had, and they had some for me and some for you, especially the people that watched Capitol.
Mhm. I loved
Right?
Casanova.
And there me too, me too.
I
You know,
love
it's like I thought that The West Wing was like Capitol was like The West Wing too soon.
Well, I didn't have much in common with it was about politics.
Yeah, but it was about DC and it was about life in
Yeah, I mean, Trey was supposed to be John Kennedy, and I was supposed to be Judith Campbell, I think, and
really?
yeah, and, who was a call girl, I think that I mean, I think. I was pretty young then and not really up on politics, but I loved Capitol a lot.
I did too.
John Conboy. And John Conboy used to, I think, be a producer on Young and the Restless too.
He
And
was.
I I remember going to him one time, and my character was named Kelly. And I said to John, the producer, could you please not have me cry all the time? And he said, because I couldn't cry. I could cry now
Yeah,
all these years, but I couldn't
yeah.
cry. And he said, I'm sorry, Jess, you're the one the audience has to cry for. You are the one. And I thought, oh, great, how
Why
perfect.
can't they cry for me and I don't have to do it myself, you know?
Right,
Yeah, it
right.
was hard back then. It was hard back then. We were so young, we were learning a lot. A lot
Yep,
went on. So,
yep.
okay, the
I
first
remember one other story about that that's kind of interesting, I
okay,
thought.
cool.
When I did my test, my screen test for that show, I was working with Nicholas Walker and in the 3-camera technique, which I was very up on because I come from Toronto, the CBC.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I had done so much film work before that on television that I was no longer used to 3 cameras being always looking at you. So Nicholas and I had a scene, and then we had to hug, and I looked over his shoulder, thought I could relax for a minute, and then there was that red eye of that camera over his shoulder. It was, I'll never forget that moment. I went, oh God, I've still got to act. I can't relax because I was real nervous,
Me
because
too.
screen test.
I was really nervous all the time, and I didn't think I was nervous, but I was nervous. Um, that was bad. Anyway, all right, so this is from Ashley Morgan.
Okay.
I absolutely loved I've got to put this on. Glasses.
Oh God, I lost my
Yeah.
glasses in LA. I'm glassesless.
Oh God, I would be dead.
Mm.
Okay. I have absolutely loved Jess Walton's portrayal of Jill Abbott on The Young and the Restless over the years. I've especially liked Jill and Catherine's love-hate relationship. My question for Jess is, what has been your favorite memory of working with Jeannie Cooper?
Mm. It's been so long ago when I liked at the beginning of the show, not the very beginning, because I wasn't really into Jill yet and I wasn't really into the character yet. But about 2 years in, we had some incredible scenes where we back and forth, and Jeannie and I would rehearse forever because we were always up last. That in
Ah,
the Our set was up last, and we'd rehearse it, and we were real sure of the lines, so we could be free to do anything. And we both kind of worked the same way. We were rooting for the partnership. We weren't looking, like there's been 2 actresses I've ever worked with, which shall remain nameless,
oh,
that
come on.
no,
Philippines.
would steal the scene from you however they could. They would upstage you. But Jeannie and I, if the other one had the punchline, we'd feed it to the other one. And she was magnificent to work with. Whenever I drive in, we'd always race each other up Laurel Canyon, which is in California. We both lived on the other side of the hill, and she would be in her sea green, what was it? I think it was a Jaguar.
Nice.
And we'd race each other to work, and I always knew that it was gonna be a great, great day, and it was gonna be full of laughs and good acting, and yeah, I'd have to say she was my favorite.
Yeah, I understand. I had that kind of relationship with Tom Christopher. And we just knew what the other one was gonna do and what the other one was gonna say. And sometimes we would tell each other we had a surprise for the other person and not tell them what it was.
Oh, I would hate that.
We didn't. We loved that. And we'd have it happen like right in front of the camera, and it was just brilliant. It was just brilliant. It was so much fun.
Yep,
Um, it's a gift and a half when you have somebody to work with that you just love like that.
yeah.
But I remember, because I told you I watched the show from the beginning, when I don't remember why Jill and Catherine's character hated one another. So I'm wondering, is it because of her husband at the time? Jack, it wasn't Jack, it was, what was his name?
That was another family, Chancellor, it was Philip Chancellor.
Philip
Philip
Chancellor.
Chancellor was Catherine's husband. She was a drunk at the time.
Right, I remember.
Came in younger than her, and at the time I wasn't playing it, but
I know. I remember.
very beautiful, and he fell in love with her, and then Catherine, who was still drinking, drove him off a cliff because she was drunk when he was coming back from somewhere and killed him.
But she didn't die.
She didn't die. He
Yeah.
died.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
so
remember that continued to go on.
well, it did, because then she took I was pregnant with his son, Philip Chancellor III, I think it was, and she took his inheritance away from him, and so I never forgave that, So Jeannie told me that there were teams of fans with signs and placards out in the parking lot, and when they would come out from work, they would have the Catherine team and the Jill team. Now that was before my time, but that's how important it was, to people.
I watched it. I loved it. It was really, but I hated Jill because she was just so awful.
Did you hate her when I played it too?
Not as much. I
tried to
don't
do
want to hate anybody quite that much, honestly. I want to have a little more of an understanding of the person, you know.
Yeah.
You had a few more layers going on as time went on.
Well, that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah, me too.
Like, there's a show called Yellowstone now, and the lead girl
Love
on that, I hate her so much. She's such a good actress.
You mean
She's
the blonde girl, the English girl?
Yes.
She's English. Did you know she's English?
I know. She's got a great accent.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, I heard her interview
So much.
and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that she's English because she plays this part so perfect, like such a perfect American from Montana.
Great actress.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Yeah. But I understand her too.
I don't understand her. I just hate her.
Yeah, I don't hate her. I understand her too. She's gotten a little more hateful, but yeah.
I haven't watched it lately, so I don't know if they've revealed a little bit more about her character.
I just love that show so much, and I cannot believe that Kevin Costner's not going to be on it, and
I
it's not
know.
gonna be there anymore. It's
What
just
season are they on now?
this is the 5th one.
Okay, I don't
And
even.
he might be on a little bit, but then it's going to be over, and it's just a hideous. It's just hideous because I just loved him. I mean, I just loved that whole thing so much, and I even bought Peacock or Paramount or whatever the heck it was that you had to have in order to watch it, Yeah, it was really, really cool. Okay, so what about now I have a question about the plastic surgery. Did you have anything to do with the plastic surgery sequence?
No, it was done before I was on.
What guts?
Jeannie, well, you know what?
Guts, man. For those who don't know, she had a facelift on television, like they had the operation.
That's right, by Victoria Principal's husband.
Of course. You ever wonder why Victoria Principal looks so good all the time? All the time. She always looked good. I thought, if you're smart, you marry yourself a really good plastic surgeon, but I've never been that smart. But that was gutsy, man.
It was, but Jeannie thrived on gutsiness. She thrived on it.
Yeah.
She was a bold one, that one.
I just loved her. She was amazing. Okay, so here we go again. For Tonja and Jess, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your characters on Capitol. Well, your character was much more interesting than my character. My character was, she was like a regular girl who knew she could get a boyfriend in each of the top 2 families in Washington, D.C., and she proceeded to do that. Elizabeth Bachman,
Who are you with? Were you with
I was with Jordy.
Todd Curtis?
And I was with Michael Catlin.
Oh yeah, I was with him too.
Yeah. Great actor.
Yeah.
Both of them. And, Michael was from sort of the nicer family, I don't know what family that would be
McCandless.
today. Yeah, who that would be today, but a nice Yeah, it would be
politics.
the parallel to that in real life, but it would be a nice family. Are there any of those left? But there are. And
Well,
then,
an honorable one, yeah, and the
right,
Cleggs were the
the
dirty.
other family was more
Yeah.
cutthroat political family. And my character was very torn because she really loved all the excitement and the badness of the cutthroat family and the danger with that.
Mhm.
But she wanted to be a good girl and be with the guy that was handicapped or challenged or whatever. And that was the whole story. That was the whole story. That was it. That was it. That was the whole story for years and until I left the show. So
Well, what's interesting about that show, that was my first soap, and I was on it for the last 3 years of it.
mm,
And I was not a family member. And I quickly learned that to stay on soap, you had to be a family member
you
of
do.
one of the main families. So when I got Jill, the character of Jill, she was Jill Abbott, and there was a lot of Abbotts on.
Yes.
And I thought, well, thank you, Lord. This is a really good role
Yes.
for
Exactly.
for staying. And who knew it would be like it's been 38 years.
I know. I know. I know. Yeah. The more last names you have, the better off you are, you
Yeah, I
know.
have a lot.
Yeah.
I have a lot.
So Kelly Harper was with Nicholas Walker
Mhm.
the most, I think.
He was my main love on there, and
And you
then
were a hooker. You were a
pardon?
you were well, I hate to say the word
I was
hooker. You
I
weren't
was a hooker, I
you
was a
were a hooker.
prostitute.
And
Um,
he was a
oh,
big time senator.
yes, he was, and we had this love affair, and we had a child. But at the very end, do you know they made the child Sam Clegg's child?
Oh,
Mhm.
how'd that happen?
I don't know, it was a last ditch attempt to keep it on the air. But it turned out that it was Sam Clegg. That was the big secret. It wasn't even Trey's child.
Wow.
I
Wow.
know. People don't remember that. I remember
I
that.
think it would have stayed on the air if they hadn't gone to the Saudi Arabia and all that stuff. If they'd stayed
Oh,
in,
no, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't. Why
don't
do you
think,
think Bold and Beautiful's there, right across the hall from Young and the Restless?
why do I think that?
It's very convenient.
Yeah, but I just didn't like the fact that I like DC. I like the capital being
I didn't like the Saudi Arabia thing at all.
I
In
hate
fact, at the end, he, God love him, tried everything he did to keep it on the air.
I
But
just didn't think that worked at all. I thought that the whole thing should have been stayed in DC, and that would have stayed on the air. I really thought so.
yeah, I think he just thought that if he took like the Sam Clegg baby thing and that thing, that if he did that, the audience would get fascinated by all those changes, but it didn't work, you know.
No, it's really funny how people, they in well, I can just speak for myself. I like a show that it looks like this, and they might expand it a little bit this way, and it might expand a little bit this way, but it comes back to this way, you
Like
know?
Friends, like
Mhm.
Friends, like Everybody Loves Raymond.
Exactly. I don't want it to go too off the deep end. And when they did
Sex
the
and the
Saudi
City
Arabia,
too.
when they
Sex
did,
and the City was the same way. Yeah,
yeah,
I too, I agree with you.
yeah, because you get
Give us what we're used to and what we want,
and
but
you
the
like it.
writing,
Like it. The reason you like it is you like it the way it is. So don't take it too far off the deep end,
exactly.
you know? Um, but anyway, I loved it. I thought Nicholas Walker was one of the finest actors I've ever worked with.
Yes, he was wonderful.
Um, I just think he's amazing. Couldn't believe he was a twin.
Yes, identical.
I
So
know.
serious.
I've seen them on photos. I don't know if anybody at home knows, but he's got this twin brother that looks exactly like him. Exactly.
I think Sebastian is his name, Sebastian. I can't remember.
Mhm. Yeah, and I wish that Nicholas was working a lot more in the theater and in television because he's so magical to watch. And Michael Catlin was great, really, really great.
There were some really good actors on that
Really good actors, yeah.
Oracle, like Rory Calhoun, who I think has the sexiest name on television. I
Yeah,
love that name.
I know, me too.
And Marge to say she was
Well,
great.
there's a question here about her. Gotta do these, okay, let's see, okay. We know almost everything about the love triangle between Sloane, Kelly, and Trey. So that's Deborah Maloney, Ferrantino, for
Mhm,
anybody who doesn't know. Kelly Harper was you, and Trey was Nicholas Walker.
mhm.
What can you tell us about your relationships on the set with Deborah and the charming Nicholas, and what you may have learned from two of daytime's all-time greatest actors, Marge Doucet and Connie Towers? Have a great day.
Oh my God. They
That's a
were
big, that's a long question, huh?
well, Marge Doucet and Constance Towers remained friends for years after. In fact, Constance Towers sent in a letter to Buckley to get my child in there when he was ready to.
Wow.
Yeah, she was great. And Marge Doucet we stayed in touch with. Now, Deborah, who was a Ferrantino,
Yeah,
have you heard anything about her since? No, I haven't either. She was wonderful, but we had very little to do with each other. And which is strange because we were really arch enemies fighting over this
I
same.
know.
Um, but yeah, they kept us apart. And Nicholas and I worked really closely together. And we really worked hard to keep up that sexual tension because that's what audiences love. You know what I mean? And they kept us apart for a long time. And then in a thunderstorm, he turned up at my door one night because he recognized this. I was an artist. Lola Falana was my agent. Can you believe that?
Wow,
You know?
really?
Yeah, and Shirley MacLaine's daughter, who I can't remember her name, who was lovely, she was my best friend on there.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great, great show.
It
Yeah.
was. It was. It really was. I
Huge in Italy, huge.
well, that's why I talked about that at the beginning of when I introduced the show today. You didn't see that part, but um, that's where a lot of these questions are coming from because it's
Mhm,
still popular in Italy.
mhm.
We're still famous in Italy. Weird, isn't it weird?
It is weird,
Yeah,
yeah.
really weird. But I'm grateful as heck, really grateful.
Me too.
But the Rory Calhoun did, and I said this once before. I was sitting in the makeup room and I was heartbroken. And he said that I was too pretty to be that messed up over a guy. And that
Oh,
he,
in real life, you were having
real
a break?
life, in real life. And so he said he used to go to Hawaii and he had friends there that owned all the Polynesian shows. And he would have a few Mai Tais and watch the girls dance in the grass skirts and forget what her name was, whoever it was he was thinking about.
He was such a
I
guy,
know, right?
such
And
a
so
guy.
I said, I bet you did. He goes, "That would work for you." And I said, "Well, I don't know about the grass skirt part, but a trip to Hawaii might work." So he walks into the makeup room and says, "I just got off the phone with my friend, and he got me, he said, if you can get yourself there, you can go over there and stay for a week, and they'd love to have you."
Oh, that's so kind.
No
You
kidding.
go? Did you go?
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I
Wow.
had my own little house on a bird sanctuary in Oahu. It was like a dream.
What
They
a
had all these
sweetheart.
little houses that were connected by wooden,
Little walk.
walkways. And then there was a great big house that was the kitchen and the place everybody ate.
So it was a
And
community. It was like a
it
community
was
thing.
a commune thing, and it was just amazing. And it was a big plantation kind of thing with bird sanctuary. And God, it was amazing.
That's remarkable that he did that for you. That's so kind.
I know, I know. We stayed really good friends, he and his wife Sue and his kids. I really loved him. Um, and Marge and I stayed really close too, because Marge moved back to New York. And so I used to go to her house all the time and she would come
Did
out to
you?
my house in Connecticut. Yeah, we stayed really good
Yeah,
friends.
you probably stayed closer than we did. She'd call us every once in a while because we had a lot in common
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
Yeah.
She was an amazing lady. And did you work with Carolyn Jones?
No, she was gone by the time I got there.
Carolyn Jones taught me about my eyes.
What'd she teach you?
She said, "Don't ever do this."
Because
Like
the whites of your eyes
you're
would
gonna look to the to this way, turn your whole head. Don't,
Yeah.
don't do that because you look like you got eggs on your face.
Yep.
And then Marge Doucet told me that if I'm embarrassed about something or I don't feel comfortable with something, that I need to speak up for myself because it's my face
Mhm.
that everybody's gonna see, and it's me that everybody's gonna blame if something doesn't make sense.
Hmm. Nobody ever gave me this good advice, I don't think.
Well,
There's
it's good.
something about looking at the
Yeah, I don't know if
camera.
it's good advice or not because it's gotten me a little bit of a reputation, but I do speak up
Mhm.
because I was taught by the great people to do that, you know? And so I do that, but
You have
yeah.
to get comfortable. Towards the end, like, like when I was about 10, 15 years into it, I would speak up about certain things. But at the beginning, I would never have had the nerve to do that, I don't think.
No, at the beginning, I wouldn't either. It's just something that I remember her telling me, and I kept trying to keep that in my heart, because, these are people that have been doing this for decades, and some of those people were, I mean, Richard Egan was Elvis's brother, and Ed Nelson was in a million things, and
Oh.
the people we got to work with were like, "Whoa," you know?
You know that, Richard Egan would come by the set when Nicholas and I were rehearsing,
Mm.
because we played together a lot. He'd come by and he'd just sit and watch, and he'd give us
Oh,
clues, and it was
God,
so great.
what
He
a
was
gift is that?
it was great.
Yeah, it was a very special, special place. Um, Glasses. Uh, let's see. I feel like we had this one before.
Are these questions that you got from before? From Italy?
These are from the past 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Um, what is different about the way the soaps are shot today versus the way they were shot in the 90s? It seems to be a faster pace. Well, I think we
Oh my
talked about that
God.
together.
We used to do 5 and 6 tapes. Back when I told you I couldn't cry, Ed's got one of those tears, and, we'd do it 5 or 6 times till I got those tears. Now, we do some without rehearsals at all.
I know, we did too.
Oh, we're going straight to tape.
I just can't get over that. I still can't get over
I
that.
don't think the audience realizes, and we've got 60 pages to do a day, when on films, they do about 3 or 4 pages. It's
A
just
day, in a
Mhm.
whole day.
Yep.
Yeah, I know, I know. Um, I have more here. Questions, here we go. Where are they? Here we go. Um, I have 2 more messages for Jess from my friend. How were you chosen to play the role of Kelly? And then how were you chosen to play the role of Jill?
I don't remember Kelly, no, I just think it was a normal audition,
Mhm.
and I was in Hawaii with my husband at the time we found out I got it, or else that we got the audition, I don't know. I was excited about it.
Ah, heck yeah, of
It
course.
really changed our lives a lot, and Kelly, I remember I made a tape of all my best scenes of Kelly Harper,
You
and it was
did.
on tape, and it was called Jess Walton, and Bill Bell, thought it was a man's tape and didn't look at it until the day before I started working.
No
They
way.
Yeah, and they said, "Well, haven't you looked at Jess's tape?" And he said, "That's not a guy?" And they said, "No, it's," So I went, had a meeting with him, and I think I started work the next day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Wow, that's really cool. That's a
yeah.
cool one. Um, Trey and Kelly's love story represents true love that we don't forget. Then for 37 years, you were Jill, an interpretation that gave you Emmy Awards as extraordinary as Kelly's. So they think that your character is just as extraordinary now as it was then. Different.
That's very nice of them to say.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Would you have liked the story with Trey to have ended differently?
Oh, I love happy endings. Sure, I would have liked them to get married and keep
And
the
live happily ever after?
because he went back to Sloan, I think. Oh no, he had a young wife. What's her name? Who was on Wives? What was that comedy? Something Wives. Anyway, she was young at the time. She was a teenager.
Oh,
She became very famous. Um,
the girl?
yeah, the girl he married.
I don't know.
She was in Superman. Wasn't Lois Lane?
Okay. Yeah, yeah. She was on The Real Housewives of like the Lane. Wisteria
Elaine.
Lane.
Yes.
Yes, I totally know all these people. I'm gonna have to write this in the comments after because we're all having these moments where we don't remember it.
Oh my God.
Okay.
We never.
We don't remember anything. We know all these people's names, I swear. Are you aware that your interpretation of a role transformed into a dramatic one has left an indelible mark on many of us? Wow. Also, thanks to your immense acting ability. This indelible memory concerns both you and Nicholas as immense performers and the Trey Kelly couple, which, for many of us, remains the most beautiful love story of the 80s.
That's wonderful. I had no idea.
After 41 years, we are still here crying, and it is not common that the love story of a drama that was abruptly interrupted at the time and in which they destroyed it survives so deeply in our memories.
That's wonderful.
Of course, I agree with them from everything they have asked me to write. So this is these are from the Italians.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a really beautiful love story. I'm kind of sorry it got trashed.
So were they. So were they.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
Especially that Scotty was the name of the baby, I think. Turned out to be Sam Clegg's instead
did
of.
they ever explain how you could have possibly slept with Sam?
Oh yeah, they had a whole story behind it, and there were scenes behind it when I had to tell Nicholas,
Did it
tell
make
Trey.
any sense?
Yeah, it made sense.
Yeah.
I'd known him before. I mean, it was all around Washington.
Yeah,
So people all know each other, and
yeah,
I was a prostitute, remember?
that's
And
right. But
so
that was over a long time before that, the prostitution thing. You weren't still a prostitute. You'd been over that for a long.
I must have been because he wasn't allowed to be with me because of the scandal of a prostitute. And Sam Clegg, having fathered the child, and the child was 2 years old, wasn't that long before I was with Sam.
Wow, wow.
So
I couldn't believe how many people died. Um,
on that show
yeah.
in real life,
Mhm. Yeah.
well, it was an elderly cast when we look back on
And
it.
Bill Byers was really young.
Oh yes, he was, and that young girl.
Brenda, the one that played Brenda, Leslie Graves.
Yes,
Yeah.
bless.
Bad time for drugs and alcohol back then, and
Were
people.
those both drug and alcohol deaths, both of
I
them?
think so. I'm not sure, but I think
I
so.
know hers was.
It
Hers
was
had.
just deadly. It was just people were just crazy. There was, you know, it was tough. It was tough. And there was a lot of pressure there. But I just loved it. I loved working on a half-hour show too. Gee, many Christmas. It was
Oh,
over.
I'd forgotten that it was a half hour, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was so
You didn't have
easy.
that many lines to
So
learn. I
easy.
would
I
give
mean, it's
anything
like,
for that
you can't
now.
even believe it. And we'd have the rehearsal in the morning, and you'd have Carolyn Jones used to say that I could have some of the turtle, the the Danish.
Mhm.
If you're gonna have something sweet, have it in the morning. She always told me that. And
That
she
I
always
love those. I haven't had one in a long time.
long time, but she would bring that. She would always have that.
Yeah.
Um, I just can't get over that. I
We
just
were so lucky, weren't we?
really lucky to meet those
Blessed.
people, work with those people, have those opportunities, you know?
Yep.
And it was on at night first.
Was it?
Yeah, it started off as a pilot at night. And
In tape form or film form?
yeah, it started off at night. And so that's why I did it, because I was offered Days of Our Lives at the same time. And I had been
You ever on Days of Our Lives, or did you refuse that one?
I said, no, I wanted to do Capitol instead because it was going to start at night. I made all my own decisions based on common sense that I had myself. I
Right.
didn't really trust agents or managers or anything. Um, and they were so mad that I wanted to do a soap anyway, because I had just done a pilot for Warner Brothers and a miniseries for NBC, and I had a contract with NBC. And I mean, I worked like a nutball, but I knew that any minute now they were going to figure out I didn't know what I was doing. Because I was 19, you know,
Yeah.
and it's
I
like, going on
I
there.
was 35.
I
So
mean,
you were 19 and I was 35 when we knew each other, around those ages. Yeah.
yeah, I was 20 when I knew you, 21. But I thought everybody knew more than I did, and then later I figured out that nobody that was that age knew any more than I did.
You know, sometimes I look at these famous actors and I think what good, some of them had the best advice given to them. They
Mm.
picked the right pictures. Some of them are big movie stars, and some had very odd choices. And I also always wondered whether that was their instinct or what somebody was advising them, you know, whether they were among the insiders in Hollywood.
Yeah,
They knew
yeah.
something we didn't know.
Well, now, I mean, I'm trying to just get people on the phone, and nobody even has a phone number anymore, it seems like.
Very different.
I don't understand what's going on, so I've gotta figure that out.
Nothing changes. It's
Yeah,
just,
it's very weird, very weird.
yeah.
But I'm hoping that things start to get a little bit more normal, we'll see.
I don't know. Now they're all doing auditions on tape.
I
I
know.
mean, I always had to go into offices, and those were my hippie days. I would sit on the floor and do my auditions. I would.
Or the
I
casting.
would kick off my shoes, sit on the couches because they always had couches, and cross-legged, and anything that would relax me because it was so nerve-wracking, and I just it couldn't be if you have somebody filming you and you can do it over, that must relax you a lot, you know?
It's your own house, though, it's not relaxing.
It's your own house,
If you have to do it, it's your own house. If you have to
right?
remember I told you how much I hate that?
Yeah, I remember you told me,
Yeah, you have to have the right lighting and the right sound and right camera, and you have to get the right shot, and they want the horizontal shot, but they wanna see your feet, so you gotta be able to stand way, way, way back, and they don't want you to move it's just too much work. I'd rather just drive 2 hours, go in there and audition and get in the car and leave.
well, funnily you should say that. Funny you should say that because that's how I do remotes from up here.
I know you told me, and
Turn
it's
it sideways and the camera's up there, so
Mhm.
if you look you can't look here, you've gotta look up there at the corner of the phone, if it's horizontal. Sometimes it's a remote to somebody's phone, they're holding it in their hand, they can do it vertical. Um, and the lighting is like I live in a house that's all windows in the front, and right now I'm looking out on the sun. The sun is coming in, so that's the lighting, but it's really hard. What's really hard is that I'm talking to a phone, and I'm supposed to be talking to, like, my son Billy, and I've got my girlfriend who was actually my husband's first wife. I have a stepdaughter. He had a baby by him, and I was with him for 40 years. She was only with him for 1, but we're still really good friends. She moved up here to Oregon,
It's
and
pretty
she
cool. I love that. That's a great story.
it is great, and she's Jewish, and, we were Christian, and, so we'd have Christmas and Hanukkah kind of mixed and all
Sweet.
together. It was really great. We were very lucky to have a family like that.
Yeah,
I think I always liked her more than my husband did.
you probably did, honey. You probably did. Yeah, I'm sure you did. Yeah.
Yeah,
If he liked you that much, he wouldn't have left or wouldn't have, moved
I
on, whatever. Yeah.
suppose it was long before I
So
came
he
in.
does your readings with you?
Mhm. Mhm.
I have to call my sister. She's on the phone. I've got a
On the
couple.
phone?
Yes, I have people on the phone doing it with me. I have to call people that don't act at all and see if they'll come stand by the camera and let me talk to them. And they're looking at the thing like this. I don't have anybody to work with in Palm Springs. So I mean, I'm doing these things by myself with somebody on the phone.
Are you
Or
friends with Tristan Rogers?
yeah, but they live in Palm Springs and he's usually busy. He's usually not there. Teresa would do it with me if I called her.
Yeah.
But I don't know if
For
she,
Judith
sorry, Judith who?
Chapman.
I don't know her. I know her, but I don't have her number or anything. But that's who I should call, somebody that really knows what they're doing, because it's really hard to do by yourself.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
acting isn't like singing where you can sing by yourself, but you can't act by yourself, unless you do a monologue. It's weird.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So, okay, we're done. We're here. We're good. This was great. I loved it.
Great, I've loved it.
Yeah,
I've loved
people really, really wanted to ask you all these questions. So I'm glad that you agreed to come back and do this with me.
absolutely, it was my pleasure, honey.
What's your next plan? Well, when are you doing the book? Have you opened that back up?
I have I gotta reread it.
Oh,
I've got it in raw form, and
I get that.
been 12 years, I can't believe it. I only had my husband was still alive when I finished that, and I only had 2 grandchildren at the time, and now I have 4 grandchildren, and he's passed, and everything's different. So, yeah, I gotta pick that up again.
I
'Cause
understand.
I'm not you know, I'm 78. I'm 78, and it's a big deal to go down to LA and fly, and and I've got my eyes are bad, my memory is weird, it's hard work. I said to my, executive producer, because he wants me to come back a lot more, and I said, "You don't understand how hard it is for me to even read the script, physically to read the script, never mind remember." I said, "Please write fewer words for me." Anyway, it's a big deal.
No actress has ever said that in the history of television, and
Oh,
you're
I
like,
know.
"Write fewer words for me." I don't
I
really come down that often.
I'm
It's
the
a
only
little
actress
bit
that
too
has
hard. I
ever
don't
said that.
know.
If I could just be in a coma and be on there, I'd be really happy.
That's not what they want you for. They want you in
I
a
know,
coma.
I know.
I
Although I
don't
did have a heart attack on the show once, so I spent a few days unconscious in hospital rooms with people talking, and I didn't have to talk, and I
but
loved it.
that's not why they're flying you down. They wouldn't fly you down for a coma. I don't think. I don't think.
No,
I'm just glad you were here. Let me know when you're coming back again.
I will, honey, and I'm sorry I didn't get to see you this time, but next time we'll do it.
I hope so. I hope
Okay, I
so.
hope so
Okay.
too.
God
Um,
bless you. Thank you so much for being with me today.
oh, mwah, I love you, and I love everybody out there.
Okay. Yeah, she does. Okay. I'll talk to you later, honey. Take care. Thank you so much for being with us today. It was wonderful to have Jess Walton, wasn't it? And I loved having all of your questions. So please keep those coming in. You have the number where you can write to me, 917-267-2930. And I'm excited about continuing to have this show on the air, but I do need you to like and subscribe so we can keep making that happen. God bless you. I'll talk to you later. And thank you so much. Bye.